Someone asked about the refinery, the infamous refinery of ours in Philly that exploded over the summer. I'm looking for the question. What does it look like if PES, that's the refinery, was publicly owned? How would a public decommissioning of the refinery be different than private management? And, you know, could the refinery be turned into something like a solar farm or a geothermal plant or something?
Look, I think there are people on this call who know more about this issue than I do. I saw Alexa on there. So many amazing friends and comrades on this call. I think stepping back a tiny bit from the specifics of the case, one of the issues to me that this really exemplifies, which is so tragic, and Mindy Eiser has written about this as well, is that fossil fuel companies are hostage takers, and the hostages are the workers and the rest of us. And they tell us, you know, you need us for your energy. And to the workers, they say, you need us for your jobs. And when the fossil fuel company wants to advocate for public funds, public bailouts, they put the workers in the window. And for the workers and the unions, one might wish that they had a different strategy. At the same time, in this economy, you don't want to lose your job. And exactly like Kate was saying earlier, those are often very good jobs. So I guess to me, it's like, I don't care about replacing energy infrastructure one for one. I mean, the PES doesn't have to be a solar farm to me. It's on land that's going to be flooded pretty soon. Certainly very vulnerable to sea level rise. We should make the appropriate decision for that. I guess what I worry about is the workers and how can we ensure, and I think only public ownership can do this. How can we ensure that workers' pensions are made whole, that their salaries are maintained, that they don't pay the price for the criminal decisions of the hostage takers, namely the bosses. So I think the public sector has a huge role to play in terms of that just transition for workers, making sure that the wage level is maintained for many years, the retraining, the housing assistance, the social services, until we make them all free, and so on. That to me is really essential. And I think that when you're replacing fossil fuel infrastructure and unbuilding it, it should be replaced according to the needs of the communities that are present. And I don't think I think it's a very good idea to replace fossil fuel infrastructure with renewable infrastructure, obviously, but I think it doesn't always have to be one for one. Like there's a great idea to replace Rikers with a solar farm. That seems great. Like not every jail has to be replaced with a school. Not every gas pipeline has to be replaced with a wind turbine. I mean, that's just going to depend. I think we really need to take care of the people, and we need communities to have a real say on the kinds of infrastructure that's built around them for their benefit.
The other thing I would add, just on the sort of question of a just transition, is that a lot of the unions which employ refinery workers and employ fossil fuel folks kind of along the fossil fuel supply chain also do a lot of work in renewables. So, you know, the United Steelworkers, for instance, which employ a lot of refinery workers, also, you know, they also have renewables training programs, right? And so I was talking a couple weeks ago to folks in Texas who are preparing for the AFL-CIO convention, where they endorsed several candidates who came out for the Green New Deal. I think that getting into like what the specifics of like even the work covered within a union is, I think is really crucial, right? I mean, there are folks in the IBEW who are pushing for a Green New Deal and who do electrification work and who can, you know, have a lot to gain from a Green New Deal, from wiring up buildings, retrofitting, and all of that. And then there are also coal plant workers in that union who, you know, will face a different kind of transition, right? And so I think part of that is, you know, part of that work is supporting kind of rank and file struggles within those unions, because I think folks, you know, who are also in the unions are maybe better suited to make that case, you know, than myself or Daniel, right, to those workers. And so I think a lot of this also depends if we're, you know, fighting for a really democratic Green New Deal, sort of figuring out ways for those conversations to be had within unions and for folks to really map a transition that works for them.
And just quickly, people down the side, I'm reading your comments. Thank you.
Green New Deal.
Green New Deal. But yes, the soil does need to be remediated, and it is absolutely scandalous that the executives of that company were able to take money away. I mean, all the money that goes into things like making the workers whole. I mean, you actually have to stop corporations from being able to like leave the trash and run. And so, if there were ever a reason to increase the power of auditors and repressive authorities of the state, it's to go after these fossil fuel hostage takers.